All right, so there's a lot to learn from Destiny, from his wealth of experience. He's going to shed more light into, is UX design really worth learning in 2024? So I'm going to leave him to do justice to that. Michelle, I hope you're still with us. We'll have others join us along the way, hopefully. Hi, Michelle.
Yeah, I think she's just saying she's still with us.
Okay, great. All right. Okay, so over to you, Destiny.
All right. Um, Thanks so much, Omotola Koko, for the opportunity to always share knowledge. The UX space has gone through a lot of iterations within the last couple of years. Like the last 2 to 3 years, I've seen a lot of dramatic and drastic changes. So thanks for giving me the chance to talk about this. If you For those of you that are here live, welcome, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to watch like the recording of this video, and also welcome. I'm going to keep it really short and to the point. And if you're asking if UX is what learning in 2024, the answer is it depends. And I know a lot of UX designers there can relate to this answer because this is one of our favorite things to say. Like, why should we go in a certain direction? Well, it depends. Why should we design for web instead of mobile? Well, it depends. So it really depends on the situation at hand. And I'll give you some insights and statistics, and also like from personal experience, how to best navigate your career, and if you're deciding to make this jump, for you to know what you're getting into and be properly prepared for it. So I think the very first place I'll start off with is just the general evolving landscape of digital products. Digital products will always be evolving and have always been evolving, and it's not going to stop now. The only difference between now and in the past is the rate of change and the time it took for the digital landscape to evolve from one certain concept to another one. In the past, it took longer. Sometimes it took up to 5, 6 years before you could see like major break in technology. But now it takes roughly about 6 months before there's a new change. And so what this means is everyone needs to be drastically learning and adapting over time. So let's quickly discuss like some of the core values of UX itself. User expectation will always be at an all-time high. Now, where this expectation and where this experience is needed would depend on the demand and supply in the market. So right now we all know there's a lot of switch towards artificial intelligence, generative intelligence, cloud learning, and this in turn will mean that UX designers, especially newer ones going into the field in 2024 and above, would need to have some idea how most of these other technologies work. It's no longer just enough for you to know how, to push pixels or how to um, do proper research. You need to have knowledge and understanding of how most of these other systems work. I've been doing this for about 7 years, and I still meet a lot of very, very senior top designers that have over like 15, 20 years in the field. And when we get talking, you get to understand that there has always been a rise and dip, especially in the UX field. It has been called a lot of things in the past, and there's always that rise and dip period. And one of the good things with the dip period is it gives you time to prepare for the next rise. You agree with me right now? If you're just new into UX and with like 1 or 2 years experience, it will be really extremely difficult for you to land like a good job, especially like in the foreign market, right? It will be very, very tasking. But nonetheless, it is still very possible. You just have to tag along some other skills that will make you really relevant in the space. There are two places that a lot of the technological advancement has really been focusing on, like I said before, which is like the AI and also like in design systems. So if you're looking to really stand out of the crowd, just start trying to read up on most of all of these new technologies. You don't really need to master them, but you need to have an idea of how to build experiences for some of them, understand what they're talking about. You know, the AI sector has drastically evolved the way UX works and the way UX is taught generally. So if you're still learning UX the way people learned it 10 years ago, you will not be suitable for the market in 2024 and above. So you need to find and update, your learning standards and the way you would always learn. Now, to answer the question bluntly, is UX what learning 2024? I would say 100%. Now more than ever, their need for well-baked, proper user experience designers, because user experience is now branching into a wide variety of other spectrums. We're having the virtual design, we're having augmented reality, mixed reality, and I've spoken to a lot of younger designers, that might have problem designing for most of this newer technology. And what I tell them is this: just make sure that your core in user experience is very solid, like your core background. You understand, the user design principles. You understand how to do research, empathy for users. Because as time goes on and more people get into this space, the way you design for those technologies becomes easier. If you're in the past, if you used to try UX design, then you know that the tools we use most times are either XD, even down to the time we're using like Photoshop sometimes to do UX design. It was a little bit more difficult. Things were a little bit, a little bit more stressful at that point in time. But as things got better, technology became better. Started getting tools like Figma, Sketch. They started improving, investing more time to make design easier to apply. Because you as a UX designer, your superpower is how you can translate in your mind, how you can make the experience better, not just generally how you're using the tools. So people over time will find ways to make better tools. And why I'm saying this is because for those designers that are looking to branch into augmented reality, mixed reality, and they might be a little bit difficult to design for now, but I'm thinking that, and I'm speculating that within the next 1 or 2 years, there will be tools that can really design for these experiences so much easier. So let's just put that in mind. So that being said, I wanted to also talk about the indispensable role of UX. And this is just to reinforce everything I've been saying initially. How do you learn UX properly now in 2024? How do you direct your path? How do you make sure that you're not left behind? You must be willing to constantly relearn and relearn and relearn. And what that means is, regardless of if you're working or you're just looking to get into the industry, you need to get your hands dirty with doing some projects that really matter. Um, we've gone past the point of designing projects like, okay, you're just building a coffee shop app, you're just building a landing page for a shoe shop. Like, UX design has gone past all of those initial situations. You need to look around your environment and look for like an actual problem you can solve. Then you can use that to practice, your entire UX process, especially for those that are just getting new into UX or starting. Look for an actual problem, and you don't have to solve it perfectly, but just taking the time to articulate, your steps and how you plan on solving that problem will give you general understanding how to, best prepare yourself for UX going further. And I think one of the final superpowers that I think is needed, and why UX is still very relevant in 2024, is becoming a UX designer also prepares you how to communicate effectively, because you're going to be communicating a lot with stakeholders, business, engineering. You're going to be communicating with a whole lot of people, generally in the UX space. So becoming a UX designer prepares you for that, and it gives you a lot of transferable skills into other places. I've worked in a lot of industry. I've worked in finance, healthcare, education. I've worked places I was paid 50,000 naira to places that end upwards $100,000, and there are similarities between all of these places, and which is still the foundational aspect. If you're not able to communicate, your values will not be passed on to the organization. And that is one of the very good things UX design teaches you, minus all the pixels and all the painting and whatever. It teaches you how to properly communicate. And when you work on a case study, how to explain what you did on the field, translate it into paper, for someone to read that and fully understand, trust me, it takes a lot of work and dedication, and that is something UX design will force you to do. The last thing I wanted to kind of point out is that when you're deciding to learn UX in 2024, you need to be very, very resilient and you need to learn fast. The methodology that you used 4 years ago is still going to apply now, but in different aspects. So you do not really have that luxury of just overly dragging and just thinking that you can just take as much time as possible to learn. You need to learn fast and start applying these skills in real life, because it's truly when you start applying these skills, you start seeing the benefits, you start connecting the dots and understanding why you decided to even learn this particular skill in the first place. For me, a lot of people say I might be a little bit biased because I do really love UX design, but I'm also like an engineer and I've also worked in engineering roles in the past. And I can tell you that like the skills I picked up from UX, it's so much transferable that even if in the future you decide to branch into other skills, just for the mere fact you have that background in UX is going to set you apart from a lot of the other competitors that you might be fighting for that job space. And just because like a typical engineering person might not really have so much empathy towards users, but you coming from a UX background, the opportunities for you are limitless. You can branch into multiple other roles. And some of these roles, I feel like a lot of UX designers now in 2024 still focus mainly on just either UX design or product design. There's now a world of different other positions that are within the UX field. So it's not just boiling down to UI designer, UX designer. You have design systems, you have system engineers, you have design advocates, you have design operations. So it's it's still spreading and it's not going to stop anytime soon. You just have to be resilient, be ready to learn and really update. And the most important thing is, get down to work and get your hands busy. So I think I'll just stop at this point. And, if you have any questions or comments, I would be willing to help you clarify that.
Thank you so much, Destiny. So, guys, time for question and answer. Destiny is here to answer all of your questions that you have around UX design, UI UX design, whatever question you might have. I'm sure Destiny will do justice to it. If you don't want to unmute yourself, you can put it in the chat box as well.
I'll be willing to, do not feel a lot of junior designers I've spoken with, they feel they're getting into the space late. There are still a lot of startup companies that wouldn't necessarily have the the buying power to really get like a very, very senior designer, right? So there's this space. You just have to get good really fast. You need to get good really fast. And that's a big up to what university is doing. University prepares you really super fast and making sure that you have like your very core fundamentals that will now also propel you into the world and helping you just even learn faster on your own. I just thought I should put that there also.
All right. If they don't have question, I have question, right? Okay. I'm interested. So you have been in this space for quite a while, right? I would like to hear about your journey so far. What has kept you to still be in the UI UX space, and what has made you relevant in this space? To be honest.
That's a really good question, and I'm always just learning and trying to go ahead of the curve, right? So right now, like with my experience, especially with UX product design and also design systems, especially for the design systems part, it's not a skill that like a lot of UX people really have currently, and it's there's a need for it in almost like a lot of organizations, especially those looking to scale and expand. So always constantly improving my skills. I think that's what kept me really relevant in this space. And regardless that the fact I'm a UX designer currently, I'm also AWS Cloud Practitioner certified. okay, I'm taking my exams pretty soon, but like gone through the models, I understand how the cloud works. A lot of people think that this is crazy. You're a UX designer. Why are you learning why are you learning things about the cloud? You might get into an organization that is totally cloud architectural based, and you need to design experiences for it. So if you don't understand how the cloud works, it will just be, you just feel like a fraud in that organization, right? Even also, like I also took courses on machine learning specialization, so I understand all the brouhaha about, like, machine learning, and all of this is just future proofing myself, right? I'm not just waiting and saying, oh, I'm a UX designer, I'm not going to learn anything about the engineering world. You need to also understand what is happening there, because UX is the one field that interacts with almost every other field, right? So you need to have an idea what's happening there, and constantly learning, constantly following like some of the pioneers and people that have been teaching this field, like Don Norman, listening, attending seminars, workshops, learning new ways and techniques, and making relevant connections and networking, like relevant connections, even on LinkedIn, contributing to posts, whatever you've learned, feel free to share it, right? Like, you might think, oh, I don't have enough experience, I'm just starting off. There are people that have not even, that don't even understand what UX means. So to an extent, you're still, you still have like the up hand in the knowledge sharing. So just keep sharing the knowledge. And that is what I do. And I think finally, I just like connecting with people, communicating, design advocacy, and all of this. Just um it takes more time from my end to do it, so I'm sacrificing a lot of other things I would not naturally be doing. But doing this and seeing the impact it's making in the community, it just kind of still keeps you relevant and makes the journey what more exciting.
Okay, thank you for that. And I like the fact that you mentioned that you keep learning. So what my next question is, um, what differentiates UX design from system design? And then what would you advise people that are just getting started in UX design? What would you advise them to do if they also want to tap into the system design space? Because I know system design is really, really out in the market right now, everywhere, internationally wise, right?
Yeah.
A lot of companies are looking for system design right now. It's really, but my first question is, what differentiates system design? How will you distinguish the system design from UX design?
That's another very good question, and it still boils down to foundations. Basically, system designs in a nutshell is understanding the interconnectivities between different aspects. So I'll use an example of like your shower. If your shower stops running, right, it might not be because there is no water in the tank also, right? So there might be a blockage that in turn led to the water cutting off, or maybe like there's a damage in a pipe somewhere that reduced the pressure. Everything is interconnected, and that's what just systems are about. But for you to understand how system design works, you need to be grounded in UX design, understanding user experience, right? So all of this just ties back together. So, over time, there will always be fancy names. There will always be fancy names and titles. And that's why, like, once your foundation is really solid, you can easily translate into a lot of these roles. If you check most of the system design roles and requirements, you will still see people writing their ability to use Figma, understanding user research, and they're all almost still related. It's just that, like, it's kind of like a higher position level that, someone who is just getting into UX might not necessarily have the capacity to wrap their head around how systems work, because you're still grounding yourself in the knowledge of UX. So it's more like a transitional skill, that, and like a specialization that you get into when you're working in UX. So understand your basics, be grounded, understand all the aspects of UX and user experience and design, get your hands dirty, and then you can now decide, okay, you want to like specialize into this particular role. There are a lot of them. There's system designs, conversational design, generative UI design, design systems designer, design engineer, design manager, system engineer. Everything is still baked under user experience and user design, right? So understanding how that works, when you're ready to go into those roles, or if you even see a role that you want to apply, basically reading and practicing in some couple of articles and just trying to watch some of the seminars that most of these things speak about, you see that these are things that are relatable within your environment also. How your house is being built is it's a total system, right? So putting all of them together is an interconnectivity of system, and system design helps you, get to the root cause of like an issue. That's why it is very big right now, because a lot of companies, they might be noticing like low turnout in sales or maybe loss in profit. And initially, what they will do is, oh, let's just change our sales team. Let's just change our sales team. Let's just change our marketing team without actually understanding the root cause of the problem. So getting like a system designer to help you really investigate and create systems that are sustainable over a long period of time. That's why like all of the rage for it is. To summarize everything I've said, once your core is properly built, especially in understanding user experience, user design, user research, you can easily transfer those skills into other aspects.
Okay, so it's safe to say, for you to get started first, you need to be grounded in UX design, UI UX design, before you can now branch into specializing in the different roles that are available in the job market. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So my next question is around the job market, basically. Right. I want you to shed more light around applying for these opportunities. Why? Because people are always complaining, oh, fine, they've gone through all of this training, but they're not getting opportunities, they're not doing that and all of that. So I want you to shed a bit more light around that. Especially for so, especially for people that are just getting started, pretty much, right? The fear is, okay, I've done this training, but how do I get that first job opportunity, right? So there's always that fear. So I want to share more light around opportunities out there for UX designers. What are the opportunities that are out there? Are there even opportunities out there?
This is a very interesting part, and thank you for that question. Also, Mudigwe, thanks for bringing that up. The job market generally is not something that is affecting just UX design. It's a general landscape. It cuts across all corners, right? It's affecting designers, it's affecting developers, it's affecting secretaries, it's affecting admin, it's affecting everyone, right? So now, how do you stand out? Like Modupe said, she has applied to several UX design positions but haven't gotten like any success. One of the advice I'll give you is, first, you need to identify which points are you getting cut off from, right? Is the problem that when you apply, like you're not getting any feedback from the recruiter? Or is the problem that like after you speak to the recruiter and you get to the hiring manager, you're not passing that? Is the problem after the hiring manager, you get to the first stage, do your case study presentation, you're not passing that? Is the problem that you're not getting like picked at the last stage? So you need to first diagnose the problem, and that will first, determine the kind of solution. If you're not getting any message back, like when you've applied at first, there are two things that might be wrong. One, your CV is not properly tailored. One of the main thing your resume does for you first is to get you in, like just get in, right? So if you're not getting in at all, one of the problems might be that the way the CV is, or also the portfolio that you're using to get into to apply for those jobs might not be really attracting, or might not be like the same kind of scope that the organization is looking for, right? A mistake a lot of people make, they're applying for a job, they have one CV, they apply for it that way. Like almost every job I apply for, right now I have over like 10, 15 different type of tailored, CVs, right? Based on the scope of the job, because you need to kind of read it, tailor your CV, and you can use a lot of AI tools to help you like go through most of these processes, right? Yeah, yeah.
As you said, 10. Yes.
Oh
That's
yes,
what the job market is saying.
yeah. And like, if I want to apply for a job now, and there are some specific things the job is looking for, you might have those skills, right? And you might have done the work in where you've worked previously, but that might not be like your role. So you need to update like that version of the CV to suit into that. And the other thing is that a lot of people really underestimate how difficult it is to get a job now, especially in 2024. it's really difficult. It's really difficult. So you need to apply a lot. You might think you're applying once a week. We need to be realistic. Let's be realistic. Let's cut all the BS and look, especially in this part of the world, there are a lot of talented people. There are a lot of talented people. I always thought I had skills. I've been through some interviews, and when I'm speaking with the hiring manager, getting to the final stage and speaking with, like most of the design team, you're like, Omo, I still get things to learn. Yeah. Because, a lot of companies are really diversifying, and there are really, really solid designers out there. So you need to be like at the top of your game. You need to be at the top of your game, right? Tailor your CVs, and also the last time I spoke with one of the people that mentor me. Yeah, I still have people that mentor me. These are people that they have over like 20, 30 years in the industry. And every time I speak to them, I learn new things. And one of the things he told me that stuck with me is your portfolio should be like a dating site intro about you, right? A lot of people confuse the portfolio website for a case study presentation. Your portfolio website should be beautiful enough for them to tell you, okay, I want to know more about what you worked on here, right? So it's you know it's very subjective, and also it's very subjective to the people you're applying to, right? Because these are all human beings and they have their own values and their own thoughts. So what might work for one person might be different for another. So like take everything with like a pinch of salt. But the good thing about being a UX designer is if you've worked in any UX role or practice UX design, you know that testing and iteration is an everyday journey, right? So don't stop applying. The job market is a little bit difficult, but there are still people getting a lot of jobs. There are still people getting a lot of jobs. So keep applying. And the good thing, and one thing I will advise you why you should keep applying is that like every interview you do, you become better. Every interview you do, you become better. Every interview you do, you become better. Even if you've gotten a job, you can relax for a while, but get back to keep applying, because you would know what the market needs at that particular time, and this will help you, just become generally better. So don't give up. You might think you're applying for 10 jobs a day. I've applied to more than 200 jobs.
One day.
No, not in one day, like over a period of time, right? And you get different feedbacks. Some they'll tell you, oh, you're not as experienced as we want. Some they'll tell you, oh,
There's a
you know,
better fit.
yeah, you're not like the right fit for it. There are a lot of things that come into play. There are a lot of things that come into play, but just know that like the more you keep going, you're going to find that place that has the right fit for you, where you'll be able to give impact to, and also like they're going to see your value and appreciate it. The final thing I wanted to say about that relating to job is that some places they might really like you for your clear cut approach, saying things the way they are, doing things that needs to be done. And some places they would like you to be a little bit more timid. So you just need to do research on the company, understand the people you might be working with. If you're having an interview, do research on the hiring manager, the recruiter, go to their LinkedIn pages, check what they do for fun, check posts they've made, try and understand the style of UX designer that they're looking for. This will help you properly tailor yourself to, fit into that organization, so that you might have like a bigger chance of getting employed there.
All right. Thank you so much. Any other question? Michelle, any question from your end?
No. Wait, actually, I do have a question. So I've just finished university and I did product design engineering. So can I move on to
That's lovely.
UX UI easily?
It depends. Our favorite UX word, it depends. It depends on what you are taught in school. I don't know like the curriculum I don't know like the different discipline that you've been taught in school, especially in uni. But I'm sure like if you studied that, you might just need to maybe have some more hands-on practical experience, especially if you're moving to UI or UX, right? So I don't really know the curriculum and what you were taught exactly, so I can't really say yes or no. But I'm sure that as long as you take a product role or something, right, you will have some experience and understanding of how like the product space works. So you might need a lot of like hands-on practical, and then probably like a very good place to intern that will just allow you see different opportunities and different areas to help you decide which segment you want to go into and get hired for.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Destiny, thank you so very much. Do we have any more questions?
I think that might be it.
Okay, Amy, any question from your end?
None from me. Thank you, Amatala.
All right, okay. All right. It's been an interesting conversation. Thank you so much, Destiny, for taking out time on a weekend to share your wealth of experience with us. We really appreciate. Definitely, guys, if you want to learn hands-on, take hands-on training on UI UX, Univelcity will definitely help you achieve that. I'll just quickly walk us through what our program looks like, and then we'll call it a day. So just a minute. All right. If you can see my screen, please let me know. So if you go on our website and you go to the UI UX part, you'll be able to view what the curriculum looks like. Now, the way our training is structured is project-based. Right from the beginning of your training, you're going to be working on projects. So it's really hands-on. There is an extra workshop that is embedded into our training, which is where they are training you on design entrepreneurship workshop and portfolio building workshop as well. That's like a bonus workshop embedded in the training. But during the course of the training, you'll be taking right from user research to product strategy, and then we'll take it on to user-centered experience. So if the way it's structured, you're going to be working on projects right from the beginning, and then from week 3, you'll be giving your capstone projects. That's like the major projects which you're really going to be working on and presenting at the end of your program. It's just a minute. All right. So the training itself is a 10 weeks program where at the end of the program, you get to display and present the projects you have worked on during the course of the program to the different industry experts that we might invite to the graduation, and probably some recruiters as well that can help with internship. And aside that, another thing that you get from our training is the fact that we have also partnered with an internship organization that sort of provide a 3-month non-paid internship at the end of the program to our graduates. So that's another benefit that you get from our training at Univelcity. So the next class is expected to start in April 13th. But if you go on the website, you can definitely see the different calendar dates and the different start dates in this year for this particular program, and you can enroll for any of the start dates that suits you. Aside that, an email also will be going out to you in case you have any more question, or you still want to ask questions around what the program looks like, what it entails, and all of that. You can definitely contact us from the website as well, or rather from the email that you might get at the end of this session. So it's been an interesting session. By the way, Destiny is part of our facilitators, so don't worry. If you are joining us, you definitely still it might be your trainer and it might not, but it's one of our facilitators definitely. There's Data Surge. I think he came late. All right, so have a great weekend, guys. Been an interesting conversation. The recording will be shared with everyone so that you can also probably watch it later and still pick from the wealth of experience that Destiny has shared with us. Guys, enjoy your weekend. Have a great weekend.
Enjoy, guys. Thanks for the time. Thanks.